Thank you for watching. Today we're taking a look at my Axial SCX102 version 2 Bureau key. I baptized the Bureau key yesterday on Instagram. People seem to think that's hilarious. This is the Weston Brewing Company body that I painted up last year. This is a stock Axial XJ shell, so you will be familiar with this shape. This is actually one of the more elaborate paint jobs that I've ever done on my YouTube channel. Now, I've never quite gotten around to finishing it up, and I will tell you why in a minute. I also have this interior over here. This is a Proline Jeep Cherokee interior, so it's a tiny bit too narrow to sit in that Axial body, but I solved that by putting some foam on the side. I just hot glued that on. It's all pretty ghetto. These are $7 skater figures. I'm pretty sure you can find those online. Don't expect the world of them. I needed to cut them at the waist to actually fit them in the truck. But they look pretty good, even though they're like driving hands-free currently. I will shoe glue that on. I was recently in the States and I bought some shoe glue. For some reason, I'm not sure why, but you cannot get it in Europe. It seems to be some sort of hazardous type of thing, or I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. Because I love the stuff. It glues basically everything. Also some of the items that you see, or that you will see on the table later here. This interior panel takes away a lot of the sort of like see-through effect already. So despite this body being like completely painted up and it looking, well, in my opinion, actually quite good, you have a lot of light falling through it. And if you're, for example, like me, into filming or taking pictures of your trail truck, it will kind of ruin the whole effect of it looking as scale as possible. Now, of course, Axial does a great job in supplying you with some exterior accessories already. Like, for example, this roof rack, the mirrors, the door handles, the tailgate handle, and the plastic molded grille. But it does not take away from the effect that with the light falling through the window, if you don't have an interior panel in there, it kind of takes away from the entire scale look. Now, if you look at a truck like this, you will be able to see right through it. So in those wheel arches, there's really nothing going on. So in the front as well, you can see directly to the steering servo and also to the battery, and that really sucks. Now, to unruin your day in that aspect, you can get some inner fenders, and that's also what I want to talk about in this video. A lot of you guys may be familiar with Night Customs. Don't call it Night Custom, that's like dumb. Night Customs, and you can get those items on ShapeWays. Now, ShapeWays is a 3D printing service, and you can get a wide variety of parts over there. James Knight is one of their, well, call them creators, one of the guys who has a store over there. So what James does is I'm still really bad at muting my shit. What James does is he makes some amazing 3D drawings, and then ShapeWays turns that into a reality. Now, why would you use a service like ShapeWays? That's just because they have printers that quality-wise, or the print quality, you really cannot touch it. So there's a lot of people who have home printers and whatnot, but all of the printers that you can buy for like a normal amount of money, they can definitely not print either in this quality or in the materials that you will find at ShapeWays. There's a lot of RC products available at ShapeWays. Bauhaus makes some, well, James Knight then. There's also a web store called RC Nerds. You will see some of their items as well in the future on the channel. But for now, I just really wanted to complete this Jeep, this Axial. And I'm going to do that with some inner fenders. So this is a set of front inner fenders. Don't go like, yeah, but that won't fit. Because of course you do need to cut these tabs in the center to separate those two fenders, so you can actually bolt them to, I think, the shock towers. This does not seem to be like a complicated install at all to me. When you hear it, it sounds wafer thin. I've seen these things in action at Axial Fest, and they really hold up. So I've seen a couple of Cherokees actually tumble down a hill with these fenders installed, and there wasn't anything breaking off or whatnot. So also in keeping all of the crap out, because of course you do drive this thing out on the trails, and you will get some mud on the inside. They also do an amazing job. The finish of them it almost looks like it's undercoated, to put it like that, with that tiny bit of coarseness, so I don't have to do anything to this to actually finish it up. I can just bolt it on and I'm good to go. These are rear fenders, so same story. You cut the tabs in the center, separate the fenders, bolt them, I think, to the shock hoops. So we'll be doing that as well. this is a very interesting part. James Knight has struck some licensing deals with, well, amongst others, Smitty. I was almost going to say Smittybilt, but Smittybilt. This is a Smittybilt Atlas accessories carrier. So you can, for example, well, you can put like a rock jack on here, or you can even add this additional piece, which would then turn it into a spare tire carrier. Of course, this mounts to the rear bumper. You will see that in a minute. But you can also put some jerry cans or roto packs on the inside. I believe you can put 4 gallons or scaled down gallons per side, or 2 times 2 gallons, whatever you want. James also has a wide variety in options when it comes to jerry cans, roto packs, that type of stuff. So do have a look at the links in the description box to enter his web store and maybe see if you want to order something from his web store through ShapeWays. Another thing that I found was this. I think also pretty crucial to finish off the look of this legs and body. I know there's a lot of people who go like, yeah, you can't have body pins sticking out and body clips. I really like that. I like to paint my bodies up as scale as I can do it, as precise as I can do it, and then just ram a big old hole in it to fit a body clip through it, because after all it is RC, and I think it's kind of fun to sort of give it away with putting some body clips in it. So these windshield wipers, that will also come in handy to add a tiny bit to that scale look. I also have these, we'll call them inner light clusters. I was pretty fortunate with these. If I show you what I did actually in the back here, this was paint-wise, this was something that I sort of needed to guess. So you got like the tail lights, then you have the indicators, and you have the reverse lights. Now I had no idea how big that actually needed to be, so kind of guessed it based on pictures and whatnot. But it turns out that I actually nailed it. So when I put this inside cluster on there, I will shoe glue this in place, because now that I have shoe glue, I'm going to use it absolutely everywhere. When I shoe glue these in place, I can just put some LEDs in the back, use these tabs to secure those LEDs in place, and I'm good to go there as well. Another item that I got, and I think that this is actually the most impressive item, because I can sort of imagine how this all works with the printing filament or whatever you call it. I believe that's at least what it's called, but I can sort of imagine how this works. This one, however, this is a front bumper, also by Knight Customs. I have no idea, because this thing is metal. Looks really good, has some printed hardware. If you look at it really up close as well, you cannot tell that it is 3D printed. It has a bit of a coarse finish, but all in all it is just of amazing quality. You can fit some D-links over here. I'm going to relocate this fairly, put it on the front of the bumper, make that winch sit behind it. You can even put some additional lights on top of the bumper if you want to go that route. I'm not going to go and do that now. I'm just going to install it, install the winch, and well, let's just see what it looks like once it's all done. I can hear you think, oh my god, Chris, that looks so real. I know, right? You just wait until I put those body clips in there, ruin it a tiny bit. You can tell that this thing turned out really nice. This is one of my favorite trucks. This is the Proline, before we get to all of the other stuff, this is the Proline 6-inch light bar. So the front of it is curved. Well, I installed this just because I want to have a tiny bit of light on the trails as well, like in addition to later on installing headlights, tail lights and all that stuff, and maybe even some trail lights. I also wanted to have a light bar. So that's Proline. These wheels are also Proline, HemiStorm 10, maybe even in the future a shorter code like H10 for the really lazy people out there. We'll give you a 10% discount on the Proline Racing web store. Now let's see what else I did. You can perhaps see that these sides are really tucked in. So I actually installed a tiny bit of Velcro. I did that with most of the Cherokee bodies. Tiny bit of Velcro on the sides, like a double stick Velcro. So it's a tiny bit of a pain to get it off, but once you do, it's super easy to just take the body off. Well, here you see that Proline interior that I modified a tiny bit using some foam. Everything is back together again, so he's no longer driving with no hands. Their suits, by the way, are looking really terrible, so that's something that you need to keep in mind. If you do manage to find these $7 skater figures, then their shirts will crack up in every possible way. But I always state that they are just really funny against each other and that they're just cracking each other up in the car. So all this stuff is shoe glued back together. That's all good to go. This just sits loose, by the way, on top of these rear fenders and then on the transmission. So that works really well. Happy with that. And then, well, we have all of the ShapeWays gear. So all of the Night Customs gear. So in the front you see that metal 3D printed bumper. I think it looks awesome. I do think that that winch in there looks terrible, but I don't have another winch at the moment, so it will just have to do. Move the fairlead to the front, just to take the attention away a tiny bit from the fact that the winch isn't centered. But hey, you know, can't win them all. Front inner fenders, really easy to install. You just hang them over the shock hoops. You do need to reroute your servo wire. So I had it looped through those. You get like a tiny hook that you install your servo with, that you can then route your wire through to your receiver box. You just need to lay that wire on the other side and you're good to go. No difficulties there. Same with the back, 2 tiny screws on the inside. You reinstall that body post and you put some lock nuts on some longer screws over here. You don't get any hardware with the ShapeWays stuff. That's something that you perhaps do want to keep in mind, but I think every RC guy has a ton of spare hardware in servo boxes, just like me. What I did over here, this is scrap Lexan with some double stick Velcro. That's what hooks up to the inside, and it also allows you to tuck that body in a tiny bit. And then in the back you can see that Smittybilt, I'm not going to make that mistake again, the Smittybilt tire carrier or accessories carrier. I think that thing looks really nice. I am perhaps going to look into in the future making it like swing out or whatnot. For now, not too concerned with it. Really enjoy the way that it actually adds some detail to the rear of the car. And I think I will add something like a jerry can to it, for example. Just need to find a way to fix that, to mount that and keep that in place, and that will be that. Time for me to put the body back on. If you want to have links to any of the items that you've seen in today's video, go check out all of the links in the video description box. So every item that I mentioned will be there. I think that until the end of the year, depending when you watch this, if you watch this in 2017, until the end of the year you will be able to find a free shipping code there as well for all of your ShapeWays orders. So don't forget to use that or pass it around to your friends. Well, the Proline code, I've mentioned that one already. And in case you're wondering which tires I'm running on this truck, these are the Bull Growlers. And I think they look really gnarly. I'm really excited to start playing around with this truck, shoot footage with it. I'm really glad that I got rid of all these nasty looking gaps, and I really think that it looks done right now. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments box, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I greatly appreciate it. It's fully free, no Patreon, no GoFundMe, no PayPal, no bullshit like that. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Back on.